Green Irish Tweed by Creed is one of the most iconic, beloved, and talked about so much fragrances in the entire world. It kickstarted Creed's endless rise to power in which we are all suffering today. I know the fragrance very well. The only issue that I personally had is that when I smelt it, I'd smelt so many different fragrances and colognes and aftershaves and all that sort of thing like it, that I was happy to enjoy it, and especially when I worked for Creed, I'd wear that a lot, especially in spring days. You know, it's considered to be one of the greatest spring fragrances of all time, but I don't actually own a bottle of Green Irish Tweed. If you listen very closely, you can hear the sounds of both Dan from Mr. Smelly 1977 and Ashton from Gent Sense putting a hit out on me. So it's a fragrance that I don't actually own a bottle of, but I've had different samples, I've had different alternatives and things of that nature. And yeah, I really respect it. I really appreciate and understand just how big of a deal Green Irish Tweed is. It is a legend in the fragrance world. But if you've gotten over Green Irish Tweed and you want something different, then welcome to, if you like this fragrance, you might like these 5. This is a recommendations-based series to hopefully help you further your fragrance journey. Today, yes, it is Green Irish Tweed, and so let's go through the categories as we always do if you're a newcomer. First one is a straight-up clone. No guesses for that one. Second one is an alternative with a twist. Third is note sibling, so we take the main note from Green Irish Tweed and then we find something that is similar. Then number 4, we have the further adventure, and 5th and finally we have a wild card. So let's start as we always do with straight up clone. Yes, it's Cool Water. Oh, yes. Yes, it's Cool Water. It's Cool Water by Davidoff. We all know the story. We all know. It's on base now. It's virtually confirmed. Yeah, Pierre Bourdon, he made Green Irish Tweed. Then he got salty. Creed got salty with him. Then he went out and he was like, I'm not having that. I'm going to make my own fragrance with blackjack and hookers. Then he went to Davidoff, who were making cigarettes, and they were like, we've done Zeno. Now we want to do, and what have you got, mate? And he was like, I've got Green Irish Tweed, haven't I? And they were like, oh, okay, then fine. And then he made Cool Water. That's literally what happened. That's not even an abridged version of the story. That is literally word for word how it went down. Okay, so yeah, Cool Water, you already know what Cool Water is. Let's move on. Let's move to fragrances that you may not know about. So now let's go to alternative with a twist. If any of you said Shea Bond by Bond Number 9, please unsubscribe now. No, it's going to be Galloway by Parfums de Marly. People do often compare this to Green Irish Tweed, and I get it. It's more the kind of like composition of it. It's got a very similar compositional style to Green Irish Tweed. It starts off with lemon verbena, it starts off with like a violet leaf thing, but then it dries down to something that, as I've said many times, smells a bit like freshly printed warm print paper. So it has quite a few ozonic accords. There's not really anything too citrusy about it, but there's this muffled citrus on top. It's great. It lasts a tremendous amount of time, and most people who do enjoy Green Irish Tweed do say that they like Galloway by Parfums de Marly. I really enjoy it. I think it's great. I think it's great, and this will most likely be in my spring selection, top 10 spring. I think that it's an underrated Parfums de Marly, which I think is a shame because it truly is my second favourite of the line. Yeah, it's wonderful. So note sibling is lemon verbena, and this is a common fragrance note that is used primarily for very old school fragrances that smell, at least a generation or two away from where we are now. Very, very classic note, very, very regal note, very expensive note. So let's just cut to maybe the most obvious one. It's surprising sometimes when you get somebody who's really loved a fragrance, and a niche fragrance like Creed, and so you kind of expect that they would know about all of the other niche houses as well. I found that this isn't true, so I'm going to go with Acqua di Parma Colonia. In fact, what I would say is that if you like Green Irish Tweed, the chances are that you will love the Colonia Acqua di Parma line. The original does have that similar lemon verbena. I, of course, very partial to Intensa, but Essenza is wonderful, Absoluta and Pura, which is probably my personal favourite. You might not like that one as much, but yeah, I would just guide you to the Acqua di Parma Colonia line. Same sentimentality, same sophistication, same regal attitude, same wealth in the fragrances. That's what I would suggest. So then we get to further adventure, and how do you follow on from something like Green Irish Tweed? This was quite a challenge. I think that I was tempted to just say, oh, Tour de Hermes, by Hermes. Similar sort of handsome demeanour within the fragrance, and it's kind of like a dirty orange if you've never smelt it. This dirty, earthy orange. But then I thought, no, it's too obvious. And if you've smelt Green Irish Tweed, you've smelt Tour de Hermes. And then it kind of came to me, and it's a fragrance that I've always wanted to get. I've never bought, but it's an astounding fragrance. I don't know, it's so weird. Every person that I've spoken to about this fragrance, they all agree, oh yes, well, that one's great, that's great. But we never really talk about it, which is a shame, because if we don't, then it might get discontinued. It's from the House of Guerlain, and it's Cologne 68 by Guerlain, and very similar structure to Creed's Green Irish Tweed. The florals, the citruses, there's even a couple of notes that are similar. The reason why it's called Cologne 68 is because it's got 68 notes, apparently. But it's got the same balancing act that Green Irish Tweed has, which is it's got the florals and it's got the citruses that are peppered in there that just give it a real freshness and a real cleanliness, but also because you want that versatility, you want to get those colder months or those colder nights or evenings. It's also got some woods and it's got some muskiness, but it's using florals to create depth, which is something else that Green Irish Tweed does. But Cologne 68 is fabulous, really fabulous fragrance, really versatile, very pleasant to wear, very Guerlain, and their fragrances are top notch. They're expensive, they have that classic nature. They have similar sort of ideas or disciplines to Creed, but Creed, even things like Militia Imperiale and Rolfer and Silver Mountain Water, they came out in the 90s, and they're sort of based on older formulas of fragrance, but they don't smell old. They never smell aged. Green Irish Tweed smells a little bit aged now, but it's still got that universal appeal, and Cologne 68 has that universal appeal as well, and it does do that great balancing act of having an older discipline on fragrance, but yet it doesn't actually smell old. So that's a really difficult, tightrope to walk. There are fragrances from even 20 years ago now that are starting to smell as though they're, from whenever 20 years ago was, I dread to think. But, it's that kind of weird thing of time catching up on you. So bottom line is Guerlain's Cologne 68 is your further adventure. It's fabulous. And now we get to the wild card, and that is this. And this is, as we say in Britain, the dog's bollocks. This is Motif olfactif. This is V2 d'Hiver. I'm wearing it today, actually. And this is the official wild card, I'd say, for Green Irish Tweed. I think in general, Motif olfactif they're pretty wild. They're a wild brand. They're doing things that not any other fragrance brand is doing, and they're really pushing themselves, and they're really pushing the boundaries of fragrance. And the boundaries are a little bit too pushed for me, to the point where I'm like, no, I really appreciate that and I like it, but I can't wear that. I like the smell of, but I can't go out and wear that. But this is not one of those. This has got a real journey, a real transitional journey from when you put this on. It's like a meadow. It's like a garden meadow with tons of both like rooty and grassy vetiver. There's some citrus at the beginning, but then it just gets sort of wilder and wilder and more out of control. And I think that the Green Irish Tweed fans will really appreciate the opening that lasts for about an hour. Really, really glorious opening. But then you've got to kind of put your seatbelt on and strap in, because then it gets very like that rootiness of the vetiver gets more intense and more intense and more intense, and then it's like going to the point where it smells like it's weed, like it's marijuana. And then it's getting kind of rougher and rougher and earthier and soilier. And I'm just about hanging on. You know, like I've been sampling this for about a week now. And yeah, it's good. It's really great. And it was kind of this that inspired me to do Green Irish Tweed in a way, because I thought, oh, right, okay, you know, this is like Green Irish Tweed, but like on acid, on lots of different psychoactive drugs. So that was the inspiration for this video. But yeah, it's Green Irish Tweed, but on some heavy drugs, and playing at Woodstock, really. So it's Green Irish Tweeds, you know, like in the 50s and the 60s, you had the really hardcore kind of conservative families, and then they had their children who, you know, became hippies and wanted to take a ton of drugs and a ton of psychedelics and play rock music, and, you know, those damned hippies, as they were known. And yeah, that's what this is. This is the rebellious rock star child of Green Irish Tweed. So make of that what you will. So that was the video. I hope that you enjoyed it, and I hope that you got something out of it. If you did and you want more fragrance content from me, well, you know what to do. Just like the video, hit subscribe, and if you want to watch the continuation of this series, then hit that notification bell. You'll be alerted every time I upload one of these videos from the series. Anyway, thanks so much. I'm the Fragrance Press, and I'll see you soon. Bye.